What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at some open Master League battles submitted to the channel by Baja Stallion, who went on a 9-game win streak with Shadow Alolan Sandslash. Now of course the rest of the team is very meta, and typically I'm not too keen on showcasing a spice pick along with two very meta Pokemon, just because it's usually the two meta Pokemon that hard carry, but I hardly ever get any Master League submissions, and the alternative is Catch Cup, which by the way I have built a ton of new Pokemon for this season, but unfortunately most of them were caught during previous seasons, so I basically don't have much content lined up for this final week. With that being said, let's just get into the question of the day. Which Pokemon, because of its unique typing or moveset, do you think would be instant meta in the Open Master League if it did just have a little bit more CP? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Alright, so going into the first battle, we lead Giratina into Rayquaza, so not an ideal matchup. We're going to safe swap into Dialga straight away. The opponent is choosing to stay in with the Rayquaza, go straight for a Breaking Swipe, which we will be able to tank, although this does put them into range where they might even be able to farm us down here. We're now going to go for an Iron Head, and the opponent chooses to shield up, and then they swap into Lugia. Now hopefully we can at least make it to another Iron Head, but we are debuffed. Lugia is incredibly bulky, so they do tank that very comfortably onto the Lugia, but we're now going to come in with our Giratina Origin form. We're going to let the first move go through, calling it bait, but it is the Aero Blast that does so much damage. We're now going to go for a Shadow Ball, hoping this does land, and it does. It takes out Lugia, and we come in with our Shadow Alolan Sandslash. Now the opponent's going to go for a Breaking Swipe. It will debuff our attack, but we should be able to fully Shadow Claw, farm them down. No, we're actually going to use a charge move here. I don't agree with this. I think we would have got the farm down there, and now they have Yveltal in the back. Now this is a good matchup, but we are running Shadow Claw, which is resisted, and we are debuffed in our attack, so that Ice Punch really didn't do an awful lot of damage, and as well obviously there is a massive CP difference, but we're going to go for another Ice Punch. We get them incredibly low. We're going to use one shield. We do have two shields remaining. They have farmed two back-to-back Dark Pulses, and they're going to throw the second one straight away, so we're going to use our second shield, shielding up the Dark Pulse, go for the Ice Punch straight away, and we should be able to maybe catch the move onto Giratina. No, we're actually just going to swap straight away into it. The opponent goes for the farm down here, allowing us to make it to the Shadow Ball, and Shadow Ball will be enough damage to take out Yveltal, and we're able to take that game. So into the next game, we see Giratina into Melmetal, so a pretty decent lead matchup for us. The opponent swaps into their own Giratina, but they're running Giratina Altered form, which is quite rare to see in the Open Master League. Typically you see it in the Ultra League, but in the Master League, Giratina Origin form is just a little bit better, because Shadow Ball is just a much better move than Dragon Claw or Shadow Sneak or even Ancient Power. But here we should be able to tank this move just barely. Hopefully we can farm them down. It's going to be tight, but we do get the Dragon Breath farm down, which is massive, and they come in with their Melmetal. Unfortunately all moves are resisted, but Draco Meteor does a lot of damage. We barely miss out on the Iron Head, but it doesn't make too much of a difference. The opponent swaps into Dragonite, and this is a really dominant matchup for the Shadow Alolan Sandslash. We can go for an Ice Punch, although in the Open Master League, Ice Punch won't be enough damage to take them out, so I wonder if it's worth running Powder Snow in the Open Master League, just because there are so many dragons and flying types that maybe Powder Snow would be better. We saw it already against that Yveltal. Shadow Claw really held us back, especially after a debuff, but here we should put them into range, especially after a superpower where Ice Punch will be enough damage to take out the Dragonite. And now we can just swap back into our Giratina. The opponent just concedes the match there, and we're able to take that game. Into the next game, another Melmetal in the lead, so great lead for us once again. The opponent's staying in this time around, and we are going to go for a Shadow Ball, but we don't throw straight away here, so the opponent goes for the Rock Slide, and we can now go for a Shadow Ball, and this will do some nice damage to the Melmetal, and if they do let it go through, then we should just be able to go for Ominous Wind in this matchup, take another charge move fairly comfortably, and we should be able to take this matchup here. But we're going to go for a Shadow Ball, and once again, I think we lost CMP there. They go for the Rock Slide, and yes, we do lose CMP. I actually did not know that we lose CMP up against Melmetal, so that's good information for me, but I mean, I don't really play Master League, so it doesn't matter too much. But here we're now going to come in with our Dialga, which is interesting. but we do deal a lot more fast move pressure with our Dragon Breaths than with the Shadow Claws, and here they've got a Togekiss in the back, so that was pretty good to come in with the Dialga. We can now go for Ice Punch, and Ice Punch will do massive, super effective damage. Well, I say massive, that honestly wasn't that much, but we are going to use a shield at the last second, and we should be able to make it to 2 more Ice Punches before they make it to the next charge move, and here Ice Punch will be grabbing a shield from the opponent. We make it to Ice Punch number 3, potentially grabbing the final shield from the opponent, which it does, and if they go for the farm down, we should make it to another Ice Punch, so the opponent recognizing that they have to throw here. Ancient Power takes us out, no boost for the opponent. They try to snipe with the Dragonite or catch a move or something, I don't know, but we make it to the Draco Meteor, just guaranteeing the KO, and we should still be able to Dragon Breath, farm down Togekiss, and take that game. So into the next game, another Melmetal in the lead. So getting quite fortunate with our leads here, as obviously Melmetal would be very strong up against our backline. But once again, we're going to go straight for the Shadow Ball, and Shadow Ball will do a ton of damage if they let it go through, which they do. Now we're going to let the move go through here. It is just a Rock Slide once again, and the opponent safe swaps into their own Dialga. So we're going to go and chip with a Shadow Ball first, and now swap into our own Dialga. We should be able to shield once and fully Dragon Breath farm all the way down. So we'll use the shield here, and the opponent does full send the Draco Meteor, dealing less damage with their fast moves now after debuffing their attack. And we can now go for an Iron Head, which is resisted. It probably won't take them out from this range, and it doesn't, and the opponent can go for a Superpower. We're actually going to shield up the Superpower. I'm not sure I agree with that, but we will now live a Superpower from this range because they debuff their attack first, and they come in with a Mewtwo. So we're going to swap into our Giratina, just sponge the damage from this charge move. Shadow Ball does take us out. Now they've got 2 shields remaining, but I'm wondering if it's worth just not throwing any charge moves whatsoever, just going straight for a fast move beatdown. We barely live a Shadow Ball from that range. We actually have enough energy to go for both Ice Punches, and I think Dialga had a move loaded, but we're fully committing to the Dragon Breath farm down, and we still take that game. Oh, they actually still had the Melmetal, and we're able to take that game. Into the next game here, we see a Groudon in the lead, so a fairly neutral lead matchup. The opponent's going to safe swap into a Zacian. We don't really have a response here because if they're running close combat, then they should be able to very easily beat both Pokemon in the back, but if they're running Play Rough, then that's also quite bad for us. So we swap into our Dialga, and we're actually able to catch a Wild Charge, but if they're running Wild Charge, then it's quite likely that they're also running close combat, which they are, and close combat would be taking us out from this range. So this is not great. We're just going to fully sacrifice the Dialga, but they have quad debuffed their defense. So now we also know that we resist all the charge moves on our Giratina. So I assume we're going to commit to a full Shadow Claw farm down with our Giratina. They go for Wild Charge, which is only single resisted, but now they swap straight away back into the Groudon. We go for Shadow Ball. That does a lot of damage. We make it to Shadow Ball number 2 before they can get to a Precipice Blades. Shadow Ball does so much damage, and they barely make it to a charge move. I think at this point we just let Giratina go down. It is the Precipice Blades. We can come in with the Sandslash, go for the Shadow Claw farm down, and the opponent just concedes the match at the sight of a Shadow Alolan Sandslash in the Open Master League, and we do go 5-0 in that first set. But into the next battle, we see Excadrill in the lead, and this is a pretty decent matchup for us. And once again, very lucky to see it in the lead because both Pokemon in the back don't do particularly well up against it. We're going to go for a Shadow Ball here, farming to nearly 100 energy, and Shadow Ball does grab a shield from the opponent. We can still live a second drill run, but we will choose to shield it. And we're going to overfarm just a little bit, go for another Shadow Ball, and this will be enough damage from this range to take out the Excadrill, so we do win the one shield scenario. The opponent is going to think about what to do. They come in with a Mewtwo, and we actually swap out straight away into Dialga, and we do bait out a Melmetal in the process, so bit interesting that they're running ABA Steel here, but we're going to go for a Draco Meteor after they go for a Superpower, and I like this play because now they're debuffed in their defense. That does so much damage, it will force them to throw a second charge move, so we can let Superpower go through, come in with the Giratina, tank the next charge move as they are double debuffed in their attack, and we will come out with a bit of residual energy. Going to go for an Ominous Wind straight away, very likely to grab a shield from the Mewtwo, even though we didn't build all the way to the Shadow Ball, and the opponent's going to go for a charge move here. We can safely let Giratina go down, and we will be able to make it to a Drill Run, and with the Shadow Claw damage, this should be enough damage to take out the Mewtwo, and if it doesn't, then we still will be able to Shadow Claw, farm them down before they make it to a potential Flamethrower or Focus Blast after the Side Strike bait, and we're able to fast move farm down the Mewtwo and take that game. Into the next game, we see another Zacian, this time in the lead, so wondering if we're going to stay in this lead matchup here and hope that they're not running Play Rough, because if they are running Play Rough, then it's very difficult to win this game here. But we do grab a shield with the first charge move, and the opponent swaps out into their Dialga, so the fact that they swap out of that matchup makes me think that they are definitely not running Play Rough, because otherwise they would have thrown a charge move. But now we can safely shield the Draco Meteor, come out with an Iron Head loaded, so when they come back in with the Zacian, we win the CMP tie, and this should be grabbing a shield. No, they actually let it go through, which is quite smart there, knowing they do barely live it and they can't do anything up against our Giratina anyway, so likely gonna be a Wild Charge, which it is. We get the Shadow Claw farm down, and they come in with a second Fairy type. This is quite tricky here, but we're gonna swap into our Shadow Alolan Sandslash, basically just daring them to go for that close combat, and they do, which one-shots us, but now they've debuffed their defense permanently. This is their final Pokemon, and a Shadow Ball from this range should be enough damage to take out the Xerneas with the debuff. So let's see, Shadow Ball will be taking out the Xerneas, and we take that game. So quite a smart play there to swap out, force them to go for that close combat, and we're able to take that game. But into the next game, we see Landorus in the lead here, so fairly neutral matchup once again. They could be running Earthquake, I believe, but they go for a Stone Edge, so likely running the Superpower as the second charge move, and once again the opponent making a catch onto their Dialga. So we land the Shadow Ball, and this time we actually come in with our Shadow Alolan Sandslash. We will outpace them to the charge move, so we go for the Drill Run, and Drill Run grabs a shield from the opponent. We're going to respect the damage here from this Iron Head, as it probably does take us out or gets us very low, but we can now overfarm quite considerably, go for a Drill Run, and this will be enough to take out the Dialga, so the opponent lets it go through, and if they come back in with Landorus, we will make it to an Ice Punch, but they're running Ho-Oh here, and this is very, very bad, but we barely make it to an Ice Punch, dealing a very, very small amount of chip damage there. We come in with Giratina Origin Form. We're going to shield the Brave Bird from this Ho-Oh and go for the Shadow Ball straight away into the Landorus coming back in. And now we've got the final shield. We swap into our Dialga. I think we should live one Superpower from this range, but it will be very close. The opponent goes for the Superpower. It nearly takes us out, but we're actually able to Dragon Breath farm them down there. And we have the Draco Meteor loaded to throw into the Ho-Oh coming back in. And from this range, Draco Meteor takes out the Ho-Oh, and we take that game. So into the next battle, we see Giratina into Metagross. Very good lead matchup. The opponent safe swaps into Kyurem here, and we are going to respond with our Dialga. We can tank a one charge move, so we let the Glaciate go through. It does, of course, debuff our attack, but we should be able to make it to an Iron Head before they make it to a Dragon Claw, and the Iron Head does go unshielded. They now come back in with the Metagross. They're going for the Bullet Punch farm down, but we do barely make it to a Draco Meteor, and even debuff and even resist, that still does a ton of damage to the Metagross. We come in with our Giratina. We have to tank at least one charge move, as they are very close to 2 Meteor Mashes. The opponent tries to make a catch onto their Dragonite, but we respond with our Shadow Alolan Sandslash. Gonna go for the Ice Punch straight away, and the opponent does shield up the first Ice Punch coming from the Sandslash. They throw just before we make it to Ice Punch number 2. Very likely to be a bait, but honestly, in this league, they probably can just go straight Dragon Claw and take us out. So we shield up everything on our Alolan Sandslash, and once again, they throw just before we make it to the next Ice Punch. Very good timing by the opponent, and here our Switch Rock is coming up very soon, so we can go for the Ice Punch, take out the Dragonite, swap back into Giratina, and snipe with the Ominous Wind, and hopefully from this range, Ominous Wind takes out the Metagross, and we're able to take that game. So going into the final battle of this video, we lead into Dragonite, so not ideal. Gonna say swap into our Dialga and we're met with Excadrill. So very hard counter team so far, and just based on the fact that they're running double non-legendaries, I think it's probably going to be Metagross in the back. I might be wrong here, but that's just what I'm reading. We go for the Draco Meteor and we do at least grab a shield advantage, although they get a very nice farm down, and we're going to come back in with the Giratina. They go for the draw run. We should be able to live a second draw run from this range, but we might shield this up. No, we're going to let this move go through, calling that maybe if it is the Metagross, Shadow Alolan Sandslash might be able to sweep. But here we're going to go for an Ominous Wind, taking out the Excadrill, swapping straight away into Sandslash, and it's actually a Mewtwo in the back, which is also fine for us. They don't even build up to the Shadow Ball, so now we're going to go for a draw run, and hopefully we will now be able to fully Shadow Claw, farm them down, and double shield in this matchup. But it might be close. We're going to use our second shield as they go for the Side Strike, and can we get the farm down? We get the farm down before they make it to the next charge move, which is massive for us. We go for the Ice Punch, grabbing the final shield, and now we're going to see how much Ice Punch does from full health. Ice Punch doesn't do enough damage there, and we realize they're going to farm us down, so we swap into Giratina. They farm down the Giratina, they farm down the Sandslash, and somehow we do end up losing that game, but we went 4-1 in that second set. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. But with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.